Moderators for the conversation today. Joining us from Austria is Tejaswini Krishna, and from Bangalore, India is architect Amrit Phull. So Tejaswini is a part of the Design United team and is currently pursuing her master's degree from BASE Habitat Studio in Austria and is a student of Anna as well as Jan's. She's drawn by environmentally conscious and socially responsible practices. She's worked on cost-effective housing projects in Bidar and Gudalur in South India. Amrit Phull is an architect at Flying Elephant Studio in Bangalore. Her previous design and construction experience is around placemaking, particularly with indigenous communities in urban and remote subarctic Canada. It informs her current practice on empathetic design in an Indian context. She is also currently executing schools for the Azim Premji Foundation in Rajasthan. Amrit is a contributing editor of The Site magazine, an independent journal that addresses diverse issues pertaining to our built environment. Amrit led the jury for selecting student work for this conference. Welcome, Tejaswini and Amrit. Please share your questions for Anna. Thank you.
Hi, Anna. It was amazing and inspiring as always to see your work. And I feel your work is so powerful at the same time as playful with the earth, and you try to push and explore the limitations of earth. And that's why it's so powerful and it's really inspiring to see that. And yeah, I have a question to you. So your works is basically like a melting point of great spatial design and sustainability, which addresses the aspect of social, economic, and ecologic aspects, and also greatly the cultural aspects of each place. So coming from, can you tell us what were the challenges that you faced when you were designing for a different cultural context like Bangladesh? And what were the potentials that you saw while designing and achieving the thing that at the end?
Oh, there were not so many challenges because I love Bangladesh. I think that's the best basis for design, is if you love the place. And it was, I think it gives an opportunity because you come from outside, you see the beauty in the ordinary, and you come with all this, super curious eyes, and you see everything new and without judging, and you're excited about these things. And it's more difficult, here in your own context, that you see the beauty in the ordinary. And I have much more patience in Bangladesh than I have with the Germans here. If I'm getting obstacles here in Germany, I'm freaking out very, very fast because I don't have the patience here, because I think, people should really understand and should and here it's more the obstacles are more the lobby, which is incredibly strong, and all these regulations attached to this lobbyism that makes it very difficult to follow, the common sense logic of sustainability and the places and the materials. And for me, it's easier to work in the context that is still more close to a sustainable lifestyle than in a system that we have here, where sustainability is just so incredibly expensive. It's like when you build here with mud, it's so much more expensive if you build with concrete, and that shows also that our system here is greatly wrong, because if you build with your own hands with the dirt underneath your feet, it can't be that it is almost unaffordable anymore. That means that the building materials such as concrete and steel are just so much not showing the real price. They're just way too cheap, and they should the price should somehow reflect all the kind of bad effects that they have on the environment. So this is something that will come up I would say in very soon, because I think not even 10 years. So, and that will of course change the building industry quite a lot, because we will have taxes on carbon emissions, and then it will look, of course, completely different. Then bricks will look completely different, because you need the temperature to get it. So I can already see that the industry is getting nervous here, and therefore we need to be ready as architects, because you need to know how to build with this material, and then we will be very much needed, because then I think that the system is changing.
Okay. That's really wonderful to know that the future lies in earth and other sustainable materials. And thanks a lot for that positivity.
Yes, thank you for joining that. We need more architects like you.
There's one more question by Amrit for you. Yeah.
Hi, Anna. Thank you for taking time at the end of your presentation to answer a couple of questions. So the beginning of your presentation, it started with this studio course that you facilitated, and the lessons you were teaching or trying to convey to the students depended on like a very visceral, very present, and very tactile experience of the site. The temperature and your ability to just notice resources and tools in your immediate environment. And of course, like being in a team and doing hands-on work. And definitely that's sort of the ethos of the project work that you carry out as well. So my question is one in the context of education, because so many of the people on this call are students themselves. So I would love to hear your take on how, as architects or educators, we can best teach these community-oriented design approaches and instill this sense of stewardship in students and in young designers, but at a distance, like in this new sort of framework of a global pandemic. And how can we best empower a soon-to-be generation of work from home designers to pursue compassionate work and sensitive work, and encourage teamwork that kind of depends on a physical closeness?
That's a good question. I mean, the best educator is Kabir. You have to ask him all these questions. But I would say right now, since it's really difficult to communicate, I think right now it's the time where you have to listen to yourself and create, because the more you know yourself, and the more you develop, internally, the better you are also in communication outwards. So I think this is the time where we should more sit down and meditate and, and understand, the inner fights that we're having. And then probably we are better ready when this thing is over, to be better in communication. Because I think right now is a period where we face a lot of fears. I mean, it's just the fear is the unfortunately predominant feeling all around. So to kind of really go in dialogue with your own fears and to learn how to overcome these fears, that enables us then later on to better communicate. Because when we communicate without fear, then life is much more better and humane, and all the relationships are much more deep when we are not, trying to defend or fight or whatever and get the best out. But if we are really just trying to, if we are aware of our own resources, it's maybe just the time of that now, to learn about our own resources. And then when we know our resources, and when we, again, if we value those resources that we have, then I think we are better in communicating also with the other one or each other.
Absolutely, thank you. So first, I'd just like to thank both of you for those presentations. Mr. Kabir for being here and for sharing with us the importance of an architect to kind of have a light hand and an open ear and an open heart, and how a project can and should be shaped by the community itself. And I loved your continued use of the word dream, and how this process is nothing but being aware of one's dream and exploring how it can be manifested. And Wendy, I enjoyed how you spoke about the architect's ego, in that like you keep it in check, but you do maintain sort of a sense of self and awareness, and also how you looked to more sort of like open source platforms for executing the work and sharing the work, which was done through these really compelling videos and exhibitions, publications, performance art. And I enjoyed seeing the connection between the initiatives in the city and the rural initiatives through the art and the design. And that's sort of where my question is taking me. And this is for the both of you. So yeah, reflecting on these lessons, there's work to be done in all contexts. Like there's work to be done in rural contexts, there's work to be done in urban contexts. However, it's our urban contexts that are the sort of biggest contributors to like toxic strain on our planet. And often we think of these two places in silos, and they have their own materials and their own processes and their own costs and practices. But most of us live and work in cities. So I wanted to ask if you could reflect on how we can carry these lessons of like the local, the regional, site-specific materials and construction, and a consideration for these human and non-human communities into a better and more informed practice or an urban practice of architecture, and then potentially at a larger scale as well.
I think, okay, shall I start this?
Please go ahead.
Yeah.
Please, go ahead.
Yeah, so I think like with this kind of project or this kind of practice, right? Definitely we're relying a lot on the connection with not simply in the urban scape, but also in the suburb. So I think like setting out a good relation with the suburb area, and also really looking at like what is the kind of like how could get them to be excited about the project, how to get their participation like in the project is very key, especially in our region, because a lot of people decided to kind of give up their skill anyway, just because they have better job or they think that they can achieve like better initiative like in by going into like, let's say petroleum businesses or because it's like Borneo is blessed with the natural resources, but somehow it's kind of cursed by it as well. So I think like how could we really get people to look at like, the intangible heritage that passed down to us or kind of like lost in the process. So I think like definitely be informed by that is very important. It's the first step, because we don't know what we don't have sometimes, and we don't know what we don't know. And keeping that conversation open is very key. So for the first 3 years of our practice, our creative practice of Borneo Lab, we constantly like talking to different ones, and also really in order for us to also get more informed by the situation. And I think by having so, it's also helped us to be to know like, okay, to kind of set out like step for further collaboration, and also the kind of like method that is working. But a lot of times you also realize that like when things are not being done locally, when things are not being attempted before, it sometimes means that like you will need to take the first step. So I think that is the time that things becoming challenging, because you are doing new things, and sometimes new things could seem like a threat. And how do you kind of like make sure that like you are there to actually your presence can be a betterment for the community. So I think like be humble, and also talking to more people is very key. And also it's something that like we need to engage more in the architectural practice or design practice, because we were trained like in our education. I think all the design education is structured in a way that you have to be the hero of your mission. But at the same time, you like if you open yourself more to what the context, you will realize, no, you're not. In fact, like you like the only virtue that can help you to take a step further is like to be brave to reach out to more people, to be brave in setting out the kind of initiative that like engage people. Yeah. So I hope the answer.
Thank you. That's so thoughtful. And Mr. Kabir, can you please respond?
Yeah, I can actually echo. I think it's very important to do what we love to do and what we believe. Then it's so important to share it. Share it with many people. Then we find that actually many people are thinking alike. Like maybe the politicians or maybe the designers of other disciplines or architects and other disciplines, or maybe economists or others, or so, because and also asking the, as I mentioned in the presentation, asking the questions which touch all, like what is essential for us. Do we really need to do that? Like many of our works. Last 5 years in this city, we came here, from the capital city, and now living in a small town. And for this around 6 years, many people come to us, and they come to us for designing something, maybe their house, and then we ask this question: that do you really need this? Do you really need a house? And many people are really satisfied. After discussion, they become very happy, and they don't build anything, and we don't get any job, in that way. And and this is, I think, very important. And in this way, we have a dialogue, and we have a network, and we are creating maybe another type of another stream, which touches all, like the nature community or people community, because this process is obsessive. People will be touched by it. Anyway, people will be touched by it. But the problem is that our system cannot host this thing because it's so flexible. Our system is like the university; they cannot take the students to that. Like our maybe this big organizations. So how to but the things what are happening, the good things what are happening, is not because of those organizations. It's because of people in those organizations. Some people are making change, and those people's network are becoming bigger and bigger because of this network, because of this informed knowledge. So I think this is how we can take it, and we'll find some ways to change the system. Then it will be another way. It will be a happy system. Yeah.
Thank you. I love the optimism and also the message of courage from you, Wendy. So Tejaswini, would you like to proceed?
Hi, I would like to direct my question to architect hasibul Kabir. Firstly, I would like to thank you for presenting your work, because it was really wonderful and inspiring to see that the perspective of a design approach that you use is really inspiring. And also, I feel the participative design approach will really address the grassroots problems of the people, and it's very nice to see how the whole thing has evolved, the process of the things that you showed. So my question is, during these times of pandemic, what are some ways of resilience you've seen within the communities that you've worked earlier, or the communities that you're working right now?
Very good question. I think this COVID really taught us many things, and many of these communities, what we were struggling before this COVID situation, that okay, you are not, you did this thing, you built houses. Now why don't you be self-sufficient? Why don't you have land? Why don't you do vegetable garden? Or what, you have that skill, why don't you make a social business? You have the savings, and why can't we work together to make those product and make it a sellable product to. And those and also especially the men, they are difficult, they don't participate, they are busy with other things before covid time, and they deliberately say that, oh, you are busy. But during this time when they don't have any work, they started to do these things, and they started to appreciate all these small things. And immediately what happened, that all the communities became green with food, this edible plants and other things. So the landscape thing, then we became more demanding. Oh, you are doing vegetables, so maybe we can do also some flowers, and other things. And we in our city now, there are many children groups, because they don't have the school, and they are from the poor communities. They don't have this like in this Zoom meeting, or they can't do their class. So they are now doing different things. So they are now engaged with this gardening, and also community video, community journalism thing. They are doing these things, good things in their community, and they are making the video with their cell phone, not their cell phone, their maybe mother's or someone else's cell phone, and they're making groups. So during this time, I think we have learned a lot of things, and immediately they became connected with other groups. Like this city was not connected with other city. Now they are becoming connected with other cities because of this new technology. So these are the good things, I think, happening during this COVID situation. Yeah.
That's wonderful to know how, even though despite the pandemic, how there are parts of the world where it's turning greener and people are making use of this time.
And another the essential questions, actually this COVID situation gave us this opportunity to ask this essential question: what human beings really need? Do we need this or do we need that? Then maybe we are happy with this. Just we can change the definition of happiness. So these discussions are being taken place now. So yeah, and many young groups, like they don't have enough money now, but they have to build their houses. So now teenage women, female groups, they have become the construction team. They have, construction, and they are learning from the craftspeople, masons, and they are doing it. So all these small things are happening very quickly during this pandemic situation. Yeah.
Thank you for highlighting the question that we need to ask on a day-to-day basis of what is essential. That's really something we all need to think of it. Yeah, thanks.
Okay, so I have a question directed to the both of you. So part of the joy of a participatory process and approach to design and execution is that there are a lot of things that are improvised, thought of on the spot, or just unexpected. So we would love to hear what were some of the surprising or unplanned uses of your designs that you witnessed, either post-construction or just after the projects were complete.
I think during the process of construction, certainly, because we designed the process to be more accessible to general crowd. It's quite nice that because while we were building one of our structure, we were in the puasa time. The Muslim community was basically doing their fasting. So during the fasting, you basically not being able to drink anything, like, and you have to work for a whole day, and they wanted to participate in it so they can learn something about it. So I think that really changed the psyche of that few days, because we all alert that like we have some participants, they are in the situation, they won't be able to drink anything, and we have to expose under the sunlight. So the fact that like people taking care of others, I think that kind of like set out a very like heartwarming dynamic along the process. I think that kind of feeling, that kind of psyche is also a very powerful instrument for that participatory model, because a lot of time we thought that people don't care, people not interested, people rarely like take part. But all these things, they debunk that. And like while we were close to like finishing up the project, one of the participants came to me like while we were collecting the stuff like to our storage. So he was like, because he has been participating for the past few days, and on that night he was saying that he won't be able to come like anymore because he has to start working, and he opened up to me that like he actually has chronic depression, but this is the reason, because we had a consecutive like holiday due to the harvest festival. So we normally will have a few days of like the holiday for that. So he took that time and participated in our workshop. So while doing so, he was saying that you know what, like I normally don't open up to people about this, but this is actually the reason I wake up from bed and expecting to at least have a link to people. And what I realized is that we so seldom talk about like some of the issue that we have in a societal scale. Yeah, because we're too focused on like recipe of success, recipe of like, getting somewhere. But we rarely talk about like we're setting out an instrument to enable people to link to one another and show them that we care. So if architectural or construction could be an instrument for that, why are not people doing that? So I think this is also a question that like, because you guys are all younger generation, and I think it's something that like worth thinking about. Yeah, because we are human of soul and blood and flesh, and then we are capable of like doing critical thinking, but we are capable of empathize as well. So how could we turn a process of like very rational with rational analogy into something that like can help to heal the society? So that is something that like we are interested in. And at the same time, like when you talk about the surprise, I would say like some of we do have a lot of surprise, because like, for example, the yogi of the town interested in turning it into the flying yoga pavilion. So that is also something that we didn't expect. And also the club, the school club interested in adopting the structure now is in the school. Yeah, for their like team building structure. Yeah, so that was what happening. And another surprising fact was like one of the pavilion, like, so from time to time when I was looking at the Facebook stream, I saw people like doing their wedding thing in the pavilion. So that is something that I never expect at all. So yeah, I hope that answer.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, this is, I think, I mean, it's like, when you do something together with people, then a lot of surprising things, come up, during the process and after finishing the thing. It's kind of, if we ask the question, we always ask these questions to ourselves in that way, that are we working in their project or are they working in our project? Maybe the outcome is, sorry, can you hear me? Yeah. So is that, when you ask that, who is working in whose project, maybe the end product looks same, same type of building, but it's different, because when I work in their project, then they can change it anytime. They know how to change it, and they have that authority, they have that ownership. So I can give examples, like one of the projects, not projects, is, I always call process, because it starts but it doesn't end. It's like no projects end. So it's a project process. So the image you showed while you were introducing myself, it's a platform hope. It's in a slum. It's in the biggest slum of our capital city, Dhaka. And I used to live there. I lived there for 6 years in the slum. So and it happened, that platform and many things, garden and other things happened. And after building that platform, the platform was used for so many things. It was like overpopulated during the day. It was used for this during the night, and we didn't think about that. And sometimes, I also learned that, okay, I can sleep there at night. It's open platform. And in the morning when I wake up, I see that, maybe 20, 30 people are sleeping around me. All the people, because of this, summertime, people go there and sleep. And different time. So these are all this. And one time there was a fire in the slum, and because the platform was on the water, and many people around, they took their belonging and go there for shelter, because that was detached from so that was and recently what we built in our city, that big platform by the river, that became a center of the city now. It was like a backyard, and now it is like a front. So people are doing, what, you said, all this, wedding photographs, or, birthday party, and different politicians, they're making maybe a stage and doing things. So these are the can happen, when we work. I mean, when we make space for people and when they own it, actually. Yeah.
Thank you so much. I believe so. Tejaswini, would you like to go ahead? Tejaswini, you're on mute.
Okay. Sorry. Can you hear me?
Yeah. Hi, Wendy.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm sorry, I was on mute. Thanks a lot for your presentation, and your idea of creating an urban laboratory for documenting the art tradition and the performance is truly fascinating. I feel it serves as a source of encouragement for the younger generations to continue and transform it to the contemporary needs. So my question is, you worked in through various mediums, like from building to exhibitions to objects to publications, and so in your varied experience, which forms of making and media do you think people respond and connect to the most?
I would say, to be honest, I think all of them has their respective audience. Because when we were, and some of the medium, like people actually, like for a certain group of people, they're actually discriminating like other medium. Like not everyone fancy building, not everyone fancy publication, not everyone fancy going to a so-called like exhibition space. So I think we have to accept the fact that like we were not going to please everyone. We are not doing it for pleasing, but we're trying to be able to communicate our idea through various medium, because we find that like through the tangible manifestation, like buildings or exhibition, is help to convey our idea better, and through a well-curated exhibition is help to bring people together. And through a well-written and well-documented like propagation, when people have more time, like longer time spent on understanding something, I think like it's very important we pick their brainwave and also like get them to really look at our perspective, and at the same time they can feedback more in that. So I think through our propagation we definitely engage a lot of deeper conversation. And for the exhibition as well, like when people willing to spend more time and browsing the object of our making, and also the object, the output of the collaboration, I think they can feedback better. And for sure, like with the building for the process, and I think the previous architect also mentioned, like I think he captured beautifully about like it should be about a process rather than the product itself, because at the end of the day it was the process that helped to bring people together, and process is the parts that like will imprint into their memory, and when they own that memory, like you actually allowing them to spread in different form. And I think that is the beautiful part, because from time to time I do hear that some people and some kids and some youth, like they participated in the process and how that changed them. Yeah, so in terms of like the intake making like devices or instrument, I think all of them are in their own manner, and our workshop as well. Yeah, but I think like certainly we if there is a chance for us to connect to people in different way, we do hope that will be the one that is productive in mind. Yeah. So that's why we kind of design the structure of this creative practice to allow our work to be translated in different form. Yeah.
Okay, thank you. And thank you for stressing again on saying that process is most crucial part than rather than creating a product. So, yeah.
Well, so I think that wraps up the moderator questions. Thank you both so much for your time.